TYT Sports, everybody. Jason Rubin here with Britton Harden to continue talking some awesome boxing because we love doing it. Mostly this guy, he's the knowledgeable one. I'm just the guy here reading some quotes for you.
You know your stuff.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I love to watch it. But so Freddie Roach had some really interesting words on behalf of Miguel Cotto, directed at, I don't know if I can pronounce this right, Gennady Golovkin.
Gennady
Golovkin. GGG.
GGG. We'll call him that for short.
Triple G.
We'll keep it short.
So here's the quote. I think that Miguel Cotto will kick his ass, said Roach of Golovkin, the WBA's 160-pound title holder. Quote, I just think that he can outbox that guy. I think this is the greatest thing for boxing always, is when they get these things moving. If this fight would ever happen, it builds the hype.
Yeah.
Because this would be a great fight to watch.
Absolutely.
Of all the boxers out there right now, Golovkin's one of the few that I truly like to follow, mostly because he packs one hell of a punch.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on Freddie Roach right now and what's going through his head on behalf of Cotto?
Freddie knows.
Yeah.
Freddie knows. Nike knows. They made T-shirts that says
Freddie knows.
Listen, I think what Freddie as a trainer has identified when he sees Golovkin is, he's relatively inexperienced with fighting on the grand stage. Just because a fighter fights a main event doesn't mean that they're used to fighting on the grand stage. Miguel Cotto obviously is going to bring all of Puerto Rico with him. And he's just a skillful fighter, man. He's been in there with heavy punchers. He has great defense. He has a great left hook himself. I think Miguel Cotto is underrated as a boxer. He has a very finely timed jab that will throw off anyone. And I mean, he knows how to survive and he knows how to move in that ring. So will he outbox Gennady Golovkin? In my opinion, yes. Golovkin has faced B-level fighters and he's looked superior against them. That's what he's supposed to do. You put him in there with another A-level, A-plus level fighter with more experience than him, and you may see him be a little shell-shocked.
Right.
And now, I hate to give a prediction without backing it up. So, when you go back to...
I love when we get predictions without anybody. That to me is the best way to predict.
Absolutely.
You can have you can have numbers, everything in front of you. That prediction, it's the same as having a prediction with nothing backed up.
True.
Anything could happen on any given night.
Especially in the sport of boxing.
Right.
All it takes is one punch, right?
Right.
And I think that would be Gennady Golovkin's downfall. And I'm glad that you said that's an excellent segue.
Be looking for one punch?
I think that Miguel Cotto is smart enough to box him early, make him desperate for that one punch to just get Miguel Cotto out of there, which will open him up to something. And I say this based on, a few fights that I've noticed in him. Gennady Golovkin is a great finisher, and when you're used to finishing a guy, you want to go for the kill,
Of course.
And if you get frustrated, you start reaching. When you start reaching, you open yourself up and you make yourself susceptible to different punches. Now, he's looked great in fights against, whoever he's been fighting.
Right.
But I think that the most challenging fight that he has had, believe it or not, has been against Gabriel Rosado.
Okay.
Someone who had good in and out movement, someone who backed him up at times, someone who fought behind the jab, and someone who didn't just stand there and slug with him 100% of the time.
Right.
Now, ultimately, Gabriel Rosado came apart, once he felt the power of Gennady Golovkin. But you have to think that with all that Cotto's been through in boxing, he knows enough.
He's a smarter fighter.
He's just a smarter fighter.
And he's also aware. I feel like, again, not the most knowledgeable here, but when it comes to that kind of fight, if it was Golovkin and Cotto, Cotto is smart enough to know that Golovkin's going to be looking for that knockout punch. So would he be more cautious as to maybe not take any riskier moves?
I think
maybe a combo or two that will try to throw Golovkin off his rhythm, because Daniel Gale and Rubio was his last fights, and both of them, pretty sure Golovkin had his eyes closed when he knocked him out. There was one where he wasn't even looking at him. Going, it's a hell of a punch.
Gale actually connected a punch, and Gennady powered through it and knocked him out with his own punch. I mean, which is impressive in its own right.
That's the difference between a B fighter and an A fighter.
Absolutely.
Cotto is going to be smarter than that if this fight were to happen.
I think, like I said before, Cotto is going to use a lot of in and out movement, the same he did with Sergio Martinez. the same thing that, Manny Pacquiao, that Freddie Roach has instilled in Manny Pacquiao. Get in, get out, be at a range where you can hit your opponent and they can't hit you.
Back.
And Cotto is going to utilize that left hook to his advantage. He's going to be in and out on Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin will ultimately get desperate, I believe, which will open him up to damage. I don't know, because I mean, let's face it, we haven't seen him get hit much, so we don't know if his chin is suspect or not.
That's true.
He looks like he can take a punch, but you never know until you take a solid punch from a solid puncher.
Right.
So
just to transition that real quick, because he looks like he can take a punch. Algieri doesn't look like he could take a punch.
Good point.
And he took a whole lot of punches.
And he got
so you
up.
don't know. Maybe Golovkin doesn't have as strong of a chin because unless he were to go against an A fighter. By the way, for the record, we have you on record on TYT Sports. I think it was the Daniel Gill fight.
Yeah.
It definitely was. I think Golovkin knocks him out in the 5th, 6th round. What did he knock him out? In the 5th round.
Listen,
Spot
man.
on prediction.
# Britain knows boxing.
Get us some. We gotta get some Adidas competition against Nike. Do some Britain knows T-shirts.
Listen, Nike, Adidas, y'all open that budget up, baby. Britain knows boxing.
I need some new Jordans. They can also give me. I need some basketball shoes.
I'm working on it for you.
There we go.
Jay.
There we go. All right. So we hope to see Golovkin versus Cotto. Freddie Roach. Freddie knows, man. He does. It's always good to talk boxing, you Britain. Don't forget to subscribe to TYT Sports. Follow more crazy ass predictions by Britton Harden at CoolAsBritton, and we'll see you next time.